Welcome back to Africa Farming. My name is Samuel Baraza, and as I told you, we are learning together how to do farming. In the previous episode, I told you the reasons why we decided to get a farm in Kajiado, and here we are. I'm actually at the first corner of my farm. You can see this is the gate. So today I'll be talking about fencing. Basically fencing, what I realized is initially I wanted to do the fencing myself of all this farm. I told you we have around 10.5 acres, but then I came to realize that fencing is not as simple as we always think. There are a lot of calculations that need to be done for you to actually do the fencing right. So we decided to get a professional who's an expert in fencing, and he's actually done a very good job. I'll be able actually to even leave his contacts on the description box. So for those people who are around Kajiado and would want actually their farms to be fenced, he's very affordable. He's done a very nice job. I'll be taking you through what has been done. I'll show you what was on paper and what actually is on the ground. Now, from his quote, there are different types of poles that you actually use in your fencing. There is the highly treated poles, then there is the medium treated, and then there's the low level treated. So for us, because we said eventually we are going to plant live fence along the fence, we said we'll go with the medium one. So the cost, I'll actually be able to break down the cost to you. There are a number of reasons why most people decide to fence. It's good to demarcate your land, especially when you buy your land, because it actually prevents most people from actually having access to your land. Sometimes it actually shows people that this land is owned by somebody. So in terms of, you know, those scams that you always get in terms of people buying your land, chances are high when you demarcate your land by use of fence, you'll not actually get those people. Sometimes you might have neighbors who do not know where the boundaries are, and by the time you come to do the fencing, before, you know, sometimes you buy land and you wait for like 3 years before you do the fencing. You might have neighbors who do not understand the value of their boundaries, so they might actually even just get into your land. Also, just to protect yourself, especially if you want to do structures inside, you want to do whatever project you want to do, it's always good to demarcate your land. Sometimes it might be expensive, but it's actually worth it. With regards to the wires that we used high tensile wire and not the normal barbed wire that most people use. Reason being, high tensile wire is more durable. The expert was telling me that if we were to use the normal barbed wire, which is slightly cheaper, it wouldn't last more than 2-3 years. It's easy for people to get through to it. It's easy for people to cut through it. So it's always preferable to use high tensile wire. Now, we were supposed to have like 8 strands of wire. The quote that we were given was for 10 acres, but the expert came and found that the farm is a little bit bigger. It was 10.5. The strand that was used, one roll I was told, could only cover up to 850 meters. But if you look at my farm, the perimeter is more than 1,000. I think it's 1,100 meters. That is like 1.1 kilometers. So the budget that we had been quoted for could not actually cater for 8 lines of strands. So we'll have to top up, at least get another 1 or 2 rolls so that we can do the 8 strands. But as you can see, we did the poles are actually, if you look at the diagram that is on your screen, they actually have gone deeper to, I think, 2.5 feet deep, and then they've actually been cemented inside. Walikorogea, in Kiswahili we call kukorogea. So the posts are very strong. If you can see here, even I'm trying to shake it, but it's, and then if you look at the corners, like this corner has been braced, like you can see, is just to hold the whole fence together. My gate is not just straight because I am on the main road, so you'll find that eventually I will need to actually be getting in to allow other people to pass. So it's always good to give that allowance inside instead of just having the gate alongside the fence. If you look at the dimensions of my farm, on this side of the road, it's actually, I think, 117 meters. Then there is that other side that goes straight around, I think, 439 meters. Then the last part, as you can see, I'll show you all these. The last part you see down there is around 95 meters. This part from this corner to the last corner, it should be around 398 meters. So it actually culminates to around 10.5 acres within it. For those people thinking of fencing, and especially if you have like 10 acres and above, if you want it done well, you should actually, look at around 3 weeks of serious work on your farm. For me, I had been quoted for 3 weeks, but now because the farm is actually on a flat area and it wasn't that of a big deal for them to do the braces. I don't know if they're called braces or whatever, these corner things. Sometimes it's always an issue when you get uneven land. So instead of the 3 weeks, it took around 2 weeks and some few days, and they were done. Now, this is the breakdown of the costs. There is the cost of these poles. Now, for me, they quoted 209 poles, but they just told me they never used all of them. I think I have around 11 poles remaining. So they actually used 198 poles around the farm. In terms of the costing, you should be able actually to see on your screen how much it took for me to actually do the fencing. But now you have to make sure that your corners are actually very strong, because that is where I was told the whole fencing would matter. If you have a very long edge, they'll put these things at the midsection of your fence so that you don't have a whole fence that doesn't have the support. Now, these are called support. If you have any questions with regards to fencing, I'll leave the number of the expert in the description box. You can actually call them anytime you want. If you have a project that you need fencing, he will be good. He'll actually send you quotations of that. He'll send you pictures of what he's done before and the different types of fencing that there are. What next for us is that we'll now need to plant live fence along this particular fence. We'll put K apples and bougainvillea. I was thinking of doing a mix of K apples and bougainvillea. Then just immediately after that, we'll do trees. We'll have, I'm still juggling between grevillea and pine, because I was told pine has some good wood. If you'd want timber later on, pine would be good. If you have experience or you know details about grevillea and pine wood, let us know through the comment section so that we know which one we can go with. But we wanted to plant K apples and bougainvillea along the fence, and then just next to it as a windbreaker. As you can see, there's a lot of wind in this particular area because it's like a plain. So it's always good to also have those windbreakers. So we'll be planting a lot of trees along the fence, and even in the farm itself, we'll have that. So in the next section, I'll actually be able to tell you how we have actually designed the whole farm to be. So until next time, changamka na ukulima.